Klay Thompson is one of the most accomplished players to ever put on the blue and gold. Klay is a legend in the Bay Area, one of the greatest three-point shooters ever, and a key contributor to one of the greatest dynasties in NBA history. Unfortunately for Warriors fans worldwide, Klay has decided to leave in free agency, heading to the Dallas Mavericks. In this video, I will review the amazing career of Klay Thompson with the Golden State Warriors, how he became a key part of one of the best big threes we've ever seen in NBA history, and how he became an all-time great in a Warriors jersey. If you like this channel, make sure to click that subscribe button below. Let's get into it. Klay Thompson was drafted 11th overall in the 2011 draft class. Klay was drafted by the Warriors, an organization that hadn't made the playoffs since 2006. At this time, Steph Curry was riddled with ankle injuries to start his career. This Warriors franchise was dysfunctional for a long time before they figured it out in the later years. Klay's rookie season was one of hope for the Warriors' future and the prospect of what he could be with a healthy Steph Curry. In Klay's rookie season, he averaged 12 points per game and shot 41% from 3. He finished 6th in the Rookie of the Year voting and had an excellent finish to the season. From March to April, Klay averaged 18 points per game on 40% from 3. It was a breakout finish to the end of the season that gave huge hope for the Warriors' future. The flashes were there of the player Klay could truly become, a star and one of the best shooters in the world. Skipping ahead to the 2013-2014 season, Klay had his breakout year. He averaged 18 points per game on 41% from 3 and had the second most three-pointers made that season at 223. Only second to Steph Curry, and this was the birth of the Splash Brothers. The Warriors had made the playoffs the previous season and would make the second round, losing to the Spurs in 6. But this season, the Warriors finished second in the conference, winning 51 games, and would face off against the Clippers in the first round. It was a big test for this young team, but expectations were high for the star duo. Unfortunately for them, it would all come crashing down, as they lost in 7 games to the Clippers. Klay would average 16 points per game in the series and had an amazing Game 3 where he scored 26 points but had poor efficiency in the game. There were good signs from Klay in the series, but for the Warriors as a team, this was a disappointment. In the offseason, the team would fire head coach Mark Jackson and hire Steve Kerr, who had never been a coach before and now gets a shot with one of the best young duos in the league. In the 2014-15 season, Klay Thompson exploded with the Warriors. He averaged 21 points per game, shooting 43% from 3 and an efficiency field goal percentage of 55%. Klay had his breakout season, showing the world that he was one of the best shooting guards on the planet. He made his first All-Star team and was on the All-NBA third team. Klay also set the record for the most points in a quarter with 37 against the Kings. It was a showcase of Klay's talent and ability to score a lot of points in a short period of time. He didn't need the ball to dribble or cross you over, but he just needed to catch it, shoot it, and it went in. It showed that Klay has one of the hottest hands you'll ever see in the NBA. The Warriors finished 67-15 and were the 1 seed in the West. The Warriors would go on an elite run, dominating everyone in their way, sweeping the Pelicans, dismissing the Grizzlies in 6, and dismantling the James Harden-led Rockets in 5 to make their first finals appearance. Klay averaged 18 points per game on 39% from 3 in this playoff run. It was the first time this young core has been on this stage, and it showed in the early games in this series. The Warriors went down 2-1 in the finals, but bounced back immediately, winning 3 straight games and acquiring their first NBA championship. Klay didn't play very well in this finals, averaging 15 points per game, but his lockdown defense helped the Warriors not get bullied by the Cavs. This was the start of the Warriors dynasty, and Klay Thompson playing a key role in a historic run. The 2016 season was historically great as the Warriors went 73-9, setting an NBA record for the best season ever. The Splash Bros this season were on a whole new level. Klay averaged 22 points per game on 42% from 3, made his second All-Star appearance and second All-NBA third team appearance. The Warriors were expected to win it all once again, but things got extremely tough when Steph went down at the start of the playoffs with an ankle injury. It had to be Klay Thompson to lead the Warriors past the Rockets in the first round, and he dominated. In round 1, Klay averaged 23 points per game and led the Warriors to a 4-1 domination of the Rockets. Klay made sure the Warriors didn't miss a beat offensively with Steph out and secured a ticket to the second round. In round 2, the Warriors would face Damian Lillard and the Trailblazers, and Steph would miss the first 3 games of the series, leaving it up to Klay and Draymond. Klay once again dominated as he averaged 31 points per game on 50% from 3. He couldn't be stopped by the Trailblazers, and it was once again an easy series win for the Warriors in 5 games. The biggest battle would come up against Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. The OKC Thunder were a great team, and that was proven in the first 4 games against OKC as they went up 3-1 in the series, which it would have been a death sentence for the Warriors if not for the birth of Game 6 Klay. After winning Game 5, the Warriors went back to OKC for Game 6, which most thought would be the closing game, but Klay had other ideas. He scored 41 points shooting from anywhere on the court, hitting clutch shots that saved the Warriors' season. His performance was one to remember in the history books, as the Warriors would close this series out in 7 games, making the NBA Finals in back-to-back years. Unfortunately, this is where the story goes south for the Warriors and Klay Thompson. The finals against the Cavs turned into a nightmare, as the Warriors would go up 3-1 but failed to close out the series, slowly losing the NBA Finals in 7 games on their home court. It was a heartbreaking finish to a great season for Klay and the Warriors, now labeled as chokers. It was now a start for a revenge story for Klay and the Warriors. From 2017 to 2019, the Warriors were the most dominant team in NBA history. It all started with the signing of Kevin Durant to join Steph, Klay, and Draymond in the Bay Area, and it was assuredly a lock for them to win a championship. Klay had to take a backseat for his new teammate, but that doesn't mean he wasn't putting up historic numbers during this time. Some of his best games were when he scored 60 points on 11 dribbles against the Pacers, one of the greatest scoring performances the world has ever seen, and he did it on 11 dribbles. He just needed to catch and shoot, and it was unbelievable. Another all-time great moment was when Klay set the NBA three-point record against the Chicago Bulls at 14 made threes, scoring 52 points in the game. He is one of the hottest shooters in NBA history. Once he gets going, there's almost nothing you can do to stop him from scoring. Klay would make 3 straight All-Star appearances and average 21 points per game on 41% from 3 over the 3-year span. Klay's stats as a third option were elite compared to the other shooting guards in the NBA. He was by far the most efficient shooter and the best defender amongst the top shooting guards during this time period. He was undoubtedly the best shooting guard in the NBA from 2017 to 2019. With Kevin Durant, the Warriors would win back-to-back NBA championships against the Cleveland Cavs. Klay was now a 3-time NBA champion and a certified Hall of Famer, with the majority of his prime to go. Now, to focus on the 2019 playoff run and where the injuries from hell plagued the Warriors from winning 3 straight championships. 2019 was Klay's best playoffs over this span, averaging 20.7 points per game, with Kevin Durant missing all throughout this playoff run. In the finals, the Warriors would face the Toronto Raptors led by Kawhi Leonard. The Warriors would fall down 3-1 in the series, and Kevin Durant returned, but unfortunately would tear his Achilles just minutes into his comeback. Klay and Steph were able to maintain their lead in Game 5, with Klay scoring 26 points. The Warriors had been here before, back in 2016. They looked to accomplish it again as Game 6 Klay showed up. Klay had 30 points with 2 minutes to go in the third quarter, and the Warriors were leading in Oracle. Klay would get on a fast break and go for a dunk, and that's where he would land awkwardly after a bad contest from Danny Green and end up tearing his ACL. Klay tried to play as he shot his 2 free throws after coming back from the tunnel, hearing the roar from the crowd with his appearance, but he couldn't continue, and the Warriors would lose their chance at a three-peat and lose Klay Thompson for the entire 2019-2020 season. The Warriors also lost Kevin Durant in the offseason as he left to the Brooklyn Nets, and Steph Curry broke his hand at the start of the season, causing him to miss the majority of the year. So the Warriors were the bottom of the barrel without their stars out there. Fast forward to the 2020 offseason, Klay was rehabbing to get back on the court, and tragedy struck once again. Klay went up for a jump shot off his right leg and ended up tearing his Achilles around draft night. It was devastating for the organization and for Klay Thompson, who would once again miss the full season. It was an extremely depressing time for Klay. He would miss over 900 days of playing basketball in the NBA before his eventual return in 2022. On January 9th, 2022, Klay Thompson was set to return to basketball after 2 years of not being able to step foot on the court.
He's back! Out of Washington State University, number 11, Klay Thompson!
Klay in the return put on a show, scoring 17 points, and he showed off the bounce in his legs, dunking all over the Cavs team, sending the crowd into a frenzy. Klay finally got his chance to be back on the court, and he took it all in. For the rest of the season, Klay would average 20 points per game in 29 minutes. Klay was back, although he did look a little rusty at times, but he was getting his feet back under him. With Klay's return, the Warriors were able to hold on to the 3 seed in the West after a phenomenal start to the season. The Big Three was back in the playoffs, and they had a mission to deny the doubters who thought they'd never win a championship again. The Warriors would face off against the Nuggets in the first round, led by MVP Nikola Jokic. There were concerns about the Warriors if that old core still had it, but those doubts immediately went away once they stepped on the court. The Warriors dominated the Nuggets in 5 games, with Klay Thompson averaging 22 points per game and shot 45% from 3 in this series. He was officially back, and no one could take this away from him. The next series against the second-seeded Memphis Grizzlies The Warriors were in a tough battle in Game 1, going all the way down to the wire. With under 40 seconds left, the Warriors were down 2 points, and Klay got the ball and hit the game-winning 3, winning Game 1 on the road against Memphis 117-116 behind Klay's clutch shot. The Warriors would take care of business in 6 games, sending them to the Western Conference Finals. In the West Finals, the Warriors met up with the Mavericks, who just upset the first-seeded Suns. Luka Doncic would make this a tough battle, but Steph, Klay, and Dre wouldn't be denied a trip to the finals, whipping on the Mavs in 5 games, sending them to their first NBA Finals in 3 years. Klay had finally made it back to the top of the mountain. Now it was time to finish the job against the young, dominant Boston Celtics. Klay and the Warriors would fall down 2-1 in the series, with Game 4 being in Boston. It was a must-win game for the Warriors, and, well, they delivered. Steph went off for over 40 points, and Klay, with 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, hit a clutch 3 to give the Warriors a 95-94 lead, and they never looked back. Winning Game 4 and bringing the series to a 2-2 tie, the Warriors would then handle business in Game 5 behind Klay and Wiggins' dominant performances. It all led up to Game 6. The Warriors have a chance to make history once again, to regain what was once lost and claim an NBA championship. The Warriors would dominate the Celtics in this game, winning their 4th NBA championship. After all the long days in the training room and the sleepless nights dreaming of getting back on the court to compete with his brothers, Klay had finally done it. He had overcome his injuries and claimed an NBA championship. The next 2 seasons would turn out to be extremely disappointing for the Warriors after winning their 4th championship. Klay in 2023 would average 21 points per game on 41% for 3, but it was evident that he lost a step athletically. He was still striving to regain his all-star form that was once lost to his intense injuries in the middle of his prime. The Warriors would end up making the playoffs as the 6th-seeded team. They would face off against the young, hungry Sacramento Kings, and they struggled heavily in this series, going the full distance and winning in 7 games. Klay would average 20 points per game, and it looked like the Warriors might have a chance to go all the way. They would play the Lakers in round 2, and they were greatly outmatched. They quickly fell down 3-1 in the series, and Klay struggled greatly after the first 2 games. He averaged 10 points per game on 27% from 3, which for his standards is abhorrent. The Warriors would lose in 6 and be sent home early for the first time in the Big Three's history. The next season, Klay struggled over the first few months, averaging 15 points per game on 36% from 3. He eventually performed better, averaging 17.9 points per game on the season. Klay was not playing close to his best basketball for this team, and it was evident for anyone watching. Klay was extremely frustrated throughout the season. Many times he was benched late into the game and would be visibly upset on the bench. He would also be demoted to a bench player in the later half of the season. It was a tough year for Klay, as he had never had to deal with being benched late into a game or being removed from the starting lineup since joining the Warriors. He was a staple to this franchise's historic run, but his role in the team was starting to crumble. The Warriors were the 10th seed in the West and faced off against the Kings in the play-in game. There was a chance they could make the playoffs and deem the season a success after many struggles, but it ended very quickly. The Warriors would lose to the Kings in an embarrassing fashion, and Klay in particular faced the brunt of the slander. He scored 0 points in this elimination game and was damn near unplayable. The Big Three season would end early once again, but this time there wouldn't be another chance to run it back. In the offseason, Klay had chosen to leave the Warriors, signing with the Dallas Mavericks. Klay had mulled over the decision, but it felt like it was finally time to join a new situation and start fresh. And sadly, this was the end of the Big Three, the greatest sports trio the Bay Area had ever seen. Klay was sent off with love and appraisal from the fans who watched him turn a failing franchise into a dynasty. But that was the abrupt end. He would go on to Dallas, and the Warriors would part ways with one of their legends. If you liked the video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe down below. Let me know how you think Klay Thompson is going to do with the Mavericks next season, and if the Warriors are going to succeed without him. Alright, see ya.